All right, so you're still watching News 360 live from our news hub here in Accra. If you want to be a part of this bulletin, you can join us by sharing with us your views, comments, and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on Twitter. Now, let's take you to one of our top stories this hour. And the story has been making headlines all throughout 2016, especially during the election period. And for those of you who are just hearing about the story, let me just give you a brief background to the story. And it has to do with Alfred Agbesi Woyome and Martin Amidu. So I'm just going to give you a brief background to this story. Now, government illegally paid businessman Alfred Agbesi Woyome an amount of 51.2 million cedis between 2010 and 2011. Now, Martin Amidu had taken over then as Attorney General from Betty Modidrisu, who was Attorney General, and was determined to retrieve the money. So let's see what happened after that. On January 19, 2012, then Attorney General and Minister of Justice Martin Amidu was sacked by President John Evans Mills for reasons we are yet to know. Now, Martin Amidu was in court in person on May 16, 2012, and began steps to retrieve the cash and presented statements of case together with some accompanying applications. So what happened after then? On Friday, June 14, 2013, a Supreme Court judge, Justice Jones Doche, said it appeared that those who facilitated the payment of these monies entered into an alliance to create loot and share. And this were, in his own words, the resources of this country, as if a brigade had been set up for such an enterprise. And these were the words of Supreme Court Judge Justice Jones Doche. So a lot has happened, since this story broke in 2010, 2012. Martin Amidu has still pursued this matter at the Supreme Court and won the case in July 2014. Now, the Supreme Court ordered Alfred Woyome to pay the money back to the states, but the businessman did not do so. And a lot of things have happened just as when the general public and pressure groups such as Occupy Ghana were praising the Attorney General for taking the right step to retrieve the money. The AG filed an application of the Supreme Court to discontinue the case, meaning she was no longer interested in examining Alfred Woyome in court. So what happened afterwards? It was alleged then that the AG had been pressured by the governing NDC to stop the action because it might have compelled the businessman to spill the bean, to possibly name whoever took part in the creation, looting, and sharing of the 51.2 million cedis. What's next after that? The citizen vigilante, as Martin Amidu is called, filed an application praying the Supreme Court to allow him to orally examine Alfred Woyome. But the then Attorney General, Madam, the immediate past Attorney General, I just forgotten her name, and the Minister, Marietta Buopon, and who was also Minister of Justice then, would not want that to be done. So she opposed the motion. What happens after that? Though reports indicated that Alfred Woyome had paid 4 million cedis out of the 51.2 million cedis and had spelled out a repayment term, a similar agreement to repay all the money last year failed. What happened after that? The Supreme Court, presided over by Justice Enim Yeboah, ruled on November 16, 2016 that Martin Amidu has the right to examine Alfred Woyome. The court therefore ordered Woyome to appear before it on November 24, 2016 and to be orally examined by Martin Amidu. So these things, a lot of these things happened in 2016 prior to the elections. So what happened today in court? Because there was something very interesting. Now, the former Attorney General, Martin Amidu, has withdrawn the suit to orally examine businessman Alfred Agbesi Woyome, quite a surprise to most people, over the 51.2 million cedi judgment debt paid him by the state. Now, his decision, he revealed, is based on the promise made by the NPP government and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Gloria Ekufu, to retrieve all judgment debts of the state.
Martin Amidu filed the case at the Supreme Court, praying the court to orally examine businessman Alfred Agbesi Woyome. He told the sole judge presiding over the case, Justice Enim Yeboah, he was no longer interested in the case and was withdrawing. The former Attorney General told the court he was withdrawing the case because of promises made by the Akufo-Addo-led administration, and specifically referred to the new Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Gloria Ekufu, to retrieve monies owed the state. After the Attorney General's department and lawyer for Alfred Woyome, Ken Anku, told the court they do not oppose the decision, Justice Enim Yeboah subsequently struck out the suit. Martin Amidu filed the case when the then Attorney General Marita Bru Apiaopong filed processes to discontinue with the application for an oral examination of Alfred Woyome. When the withdrawal was opposed and Martin Amidu filed to go ahead with the oral examination, Justice Eni Yeboah indicated Martin Amidu was retrieving the money for the state and not for himself. Alfred Woyome filed for a review of the judgment, opposing the decision of the sole judge, which was pending determination. Woyome was paid the 51.2 million cedis by the state, which was considered as fraudulent and unconstitutional.